Hello students. So today we will continue with another biodiversity index, that is the city biodiversity index, and this is having a wide application, so probably you will take interest in this particular index which is having very strong application potential. So there will be the coverage, it's a structured discussion today. I will come to each segment one by one. First, let us start with the City Biodiversity Index and its concept. This City Biodiversity Index is also known as the Singapore Index on Cities Biodiversity SI, and it is defined as a self assessment tool for cities to evaluate and monitor the progress of their biodiversity conservation efforts against their own individual baselines and enable cities to undertake their monitoring and reporting on biodiversity and nature. This is a structured index indicator based monitoring tool. It combines of biodiversity state, ecosystem services, governance and management indicators. The City Biodiversity Index aims to help cities build their biodiversity data systems and understand their biodiversity assets, identify areas for improvement, and develop policies and actions to protect and enhance biodiversity. Why we need to measure the urban biodiversity? First one is the ecological imperatives. Urbanization fragments habitats and favors invasive species. Measuring biodiversity reveals decline rates and priority areas for restoration. High biodiversity boost ecosystem resilience, supporting native species recovery amid ongoing development pressure in urban areas. Planning and governance benefits. Metrics like CBI enable cities to baseline their biodiversity status, which we have already discussed, set targets and track improvements against national or global framework like CBD, Global Biodiversity Framework, like that. Quantitative scores, which justify budgets for green infrastructure, linking biodiversity to urban services like cooling, flood control, and recreation. And the third imperative is the human well being and equity. Biodiversity delivers services such as air purification, mental health benefits, and equitable access to nature, which measured values make them visible in policies. Citizen science data integrated into assessments empower communities and fill data gaps in rapidly growing cities. Let us see the historical evolution of this CBI. 2006 to 8, the foundation and the proposal. ICLEI Lab initiative at Cape Town 2006 was the local government biodiversity action starting point. Global Partnership on Cities and Biodiversity launched in Curitiba in 2007. At COP9 Bonn 2008, Singapore's Minister Mr. Tan formally proposed an index to measure urban biodiversity, leading to mandating CBD engagements with cities. 2009 to 11, Development and Technical Refinement, three expert workshops in Singapore, 2009, 10, and 11, designed the 23 indicator framework across three components: native biodiversity 40 points, ecosystem services 16 points, and governance 36 points. The scoring thresholds were validated through pilot cities. During the 10-12, global endorsement started happening. COP10 formally endorsed the City Biodiversity Index as the Singapore Index. COP11 took the decision to reinforce its use as a monitoring tool for cities' implementation of the strategic plan for biodiversity during the 2011-20, the decade. 1921, after this implementation started happening, people could understand the strengths and the weaknesses, so revision was proposed for post 2020 framework. October 19 workshop in Singapore reviewed the index to align with climate change priorities and post 20 biodiversity targets. September 21, Singapore Index was expanded to 28 indicators from the previous 23 indicators, adding habitat restoration, health well being, food security, and enhanced climate mitigation and adaptation metrics. CBI, the tool, uses a quantitative scoring system where each of the 28 biodiversity indicators is assigned a scoring range between 0 to 4 points, with a city scored out of 112 points in total. The year in which a city embarks on its scoring system for the first time, that is taken as the baseline year, and the future scores are measured against this baseline to chart progress in conserving and increasing biodiversity. So you can see the strength of this concept that the city is not competing with any other city, it is only trying to understand its original baseline and then trying to improve. The tool serves as a platform upon which biodiversity awareness raising exercises can be launched and public can hold a city accountable to the commitments. This index can create a shared platform for city departments, academics, NGOs, schools, citizens, and businesses, stakeholders, strengthening communication, data sharing, and cooperation around common biodiversity goals. It is having two different components. Part 1 talks about the profile, and part 2 indicators of the city biodiversity index. The profile of the city, part 1, that includes important general information on the city, in particular details of the biodiversity found within, in order to set the background of the city and to place the city's evaluation for the index in the proper perspective. It is important that other information not captured in the indicators be provided in this particular profile only to give a more holistic picture of the native biodiversity that can be found in the city. So, the profile of the city is having these many aspects: location, geographical coordinates, climate, temperature, rainfall, precipitation, and other relevant information. Next one is the size, like land area illustrated with Google Maps or satellite image, with clearly defined city boundaries, number of administrative units within the city or local authorities. Population, including total population and population density of the city. Economic parameters, gross domestic products, GNP, per capita income, key economic activities, economic drivers, and pressures on biodiversity. And for the physical features of the city, it will take care of geography, altitude of the city, area of impermeable surface, information on brownfield sites, etc. Biodiversity features and characteristics. This particular point has several subsections like ecosystems found in the city. There is a mandatory part that cities should list ecosystems present within the city when they first occur within the city boundary. Optional maps which show the location of the ecosystem. Species found in the city, the mandatory part is the number of species of vascular plants, baths, and arthropods. Optional species, cities can also list the total number of species for other taxonomic groups if they have data. Quantitative data on populations of key species of local importance is the third part, which include quantitative data on major taxonomic groups which are used to determine the conservation status of the species. And the fourth part is the relevant qualitative biodiversity data, which include write ups on the natural history of the cities, ecological rehabilitation, and restoration initiatives. Special biodiversity features, reintroduction of native species, etc., will be added to it. Next item is the administration of biodiversity, Relevant information may include a list of agencies and departments responsible for biodiversity, how natural areas are protected through national parks, reserves, forests, secured areas, parks, etc., their locations, sizes, and functions of protected areas. And the last point is links to relevant websites, including the city's website, environmental or biodiversity specific websites, and websites of agencies responsible for biodiversity. So, once you complete the part 1, you come to the part 2. Part 2 is having the indicators of the city biodiversity index, and it is having three segments: native biodiversity in the cities, that is from the indicator number 1 to 9, 36 points. Ecosystem services provided by biodiversity, it is indicators from 10 to 14, 5, total of 20 points. And the last 14 are governance and management of biodiversity, and having total 56 points. So in total it is 112 points for which any city would like to score itself. So, native biodiversity in the city component assesses the number and health of native species in the city, including plants, animals, and fungi. I will show you the indicators. It considers the diversity and abundance of native species and their ecological roles as well. So these are the indicators under the native biodiversity in the city. As I said, there will be 9 such indicators. You can see the natural areas, connectivity measure, native biodiversity, change in number of vascular plant species. Change you can actually score once you have the baseline data. If you don't have the baseline data, whatever you put here, that will be the baseline. Change in number of native bird species, change in number of native arthropod species, habitat restoration, protected natural areas, invasive alien species. Similarly, the second section, ecosystem services provided by biodiversity, where 5 such points are there, indicators are there. This component evaluates the benefits provided by urban ecosystem, such as air purification, water regulation, climate regulation, and pollination. This considers the extent to which these services are being provided and their contribution to human well-being. Let us have a look at these 5: water, climate, recreational services, and health and well-being and food security. So 20 points. And the third, which is having the maximum number of indicators, 14 indicators, and this component examines the policies and actions taken by the city to protect and enhance biodiversity. So all of us, we can easily understand the importance of governance and management in urban ecosystem. This considers the effectiveness of policies, the availability of resources, and the level of public engagements in biodiversity conservation. So there are 14 numbers of indicators: institutional capacity, budget, policies, status of the natural capital assessment, state of the blue green space, biodiversity related responses to climate change, incentives to NBS, cross sectoral and interagency collaborations, then participation and partnerships, existence of formal or informal public consultation, and also the numbers like agency, companies, NGOs, etc., their projects. And the number 25, the indicator, it talks about biodiversity projects implemented by the city annually. Then education, awareness, and community science. So in total, these 14 indicators are having 56 points. The challenges in adopting CBI globally. So it really sounds such a nice index for biodiversity assessment, but we have to also understand the flip side of it, why it is not really then being adopted. Data availability and consistency. Many cities lack systematic biodiversity inventories, long term monitoring data, or high resolution land use data sets, leading to partial indicator coverage and reduced comparability across assessments. Boundary definition and scale mismatch. Administrative city boundaries often do not align with the ecological units such as watersheds, habitat corridors, or coastal systems, because that will go for administrative boundaries and that affect the interpretation of biodiversity and ecosystem service indicators. Variability in institutional capacity. Cities differ widely in technical expertise, financial resource, and interagency coordination, which directly influences governance related scores rather than ecological conditions alone. So, the last part, part 2, the third part, is very important. We will continue with these challenges. Next one will be discussing the indicator interpretation and contextual relevance. Uniform indicators may not fully capture ecological diversity across climatic zones, biogeographic regions, or urban forms, particularly when applied to rapidly growing or informal urban areas. Next one is very important, comparability and misuse of scores. Although designed as a self assessment and monitoring tool, CBI results are sometimes misinterpreted as city rankings, overlooking differences in assessment years, indicator availability, and methodological versions, and forget about the actual context, ecological context of those cities. Limited integration into statutory planning. In many cases, CBI findings remain advisory and are not formally embedded into master plans, development regulations, or budgetary decision making processes. So, even if you have done it, its impact will not be visible. Now, let us see in India how we have tried to adopt CBI. It's a very phase wise, it's a good effort, I will say, towards the CBI adoption. The very first phase was in 2010 2014, pilot and indicator testing phase. Introduction of CBI to Indian urban governance, focus on indicator interpretation, feasibility, and institutional learning. And scoring was partial and non standardized. Some of the cities who actually tried to do this: Hyderabad, Pune, Nagpur, Bhopal. Second phase, transition and capacity consolidation, 2015 to 2017, expansion of indicator application, component wise scoring begins appearing in city assessments, strengthening of governance and biodiversity management indicators happened. Still, no unified national baseline protocol. The cities who took part, they are Delhi, Kolkata, Mumbai, all big cities, mega cities. The third phase, standardized baseline CBI assessment. 2018-21, when we see the effort is coming towards a standardization. Adoption of 18 indicator baseline structure. Maximum baseline score standardized at 72. Public release of baseline reports like Kochi, Gangtok, they have taken part in this. And the next phase is very, very interesting, ecologically sensitive and Himalayan cities. 2022-23, we see this particular phase focus on fragile ecosystems and ecosystem service indicators, continued use of 18 indicator baseline framework, strong emphasis on ecosystem services, hydrology, natural asset protections. Jammu, Srinagar, Itanagar, all the hill cities, they took part in it. And the fifth phase, which is going on just now, metropolitan and capital city expansion. Full alignment with the revised CBI handbook, which talks about now 28 indicators, integration with climate action plans, nature based solutions, resilience strategies. The cities assessed: Nagpur from the very first batch, Chennai, Bengaluru, etc. So you can just have a look at this particular slide where different Indian cities, five Indian cities, Nagpur, Chennai, Bengaluru, Itanagar, Bhopal, are mentioned with their reporting year, and you can see other than Nagpur, all are being reported against the 72, 18 indicators, and Nagpur is against the 28 indicators. But don't try to judge them that this is a ranking. No, this is not a ranking, again, which we have already discussed. For that particular city, this is the status at present, and based on this, they can keep on improving. This five you can see Jammu, Srinagar, Hyderabad, Kochi, Gangtok all are having the 72 scoring points. But here Hyderabad 92, Kochi and Gangtok again 72. And you can look at, in the case of Hyderabad only, we can see that the change. Almost we can see 21 score has changed for Hyderabad, and it's a positive change. So this is the purpose of this city biodiversity index, to help the cities, handhold the cities to improve their biodiversity part. I will bring one example of city biodiversity index, Pimpri Chinchwad from Pune. The profile, that is the part 1, as we have discussed when we discussed the CBI, the frame. The city where it is located, Deccan Plateau, and surrounded by hills. The base rock found throughout the area is Deccan Trap basalt. Soil is fertile and hence it is suitable for agriculture. Soil in this area is generally brownish copper color towards the west and somewhat blackish in the east. So you can see this type of description in the part 1, where it is also talking about the RH, rainy season and the summer, and how many gardens, 164 gardens with a total area of 166 plus hectares. Exotic species are more compared to the indigenous native species. So this is the profile of the city for the CBI first part. And these are the further details to this particular part 1, and what are the different flora fauna available: birds, butterflies, freshwater fish, mammal, trees, shrubs, herbs, etc. So once you get the structural components, and then you come to the second part, the indicators of the city biodiversity index. The first component is the native biodiversity, and here few of the indicators I will be discussing in details. Proportion of natural areas. So you just identify the natural areas, whatever the area, and the totaling of it. The total area inclusive of the defense area is this much. So the score of the indicator 1 is 4 points. The second indicator under the component 1 is the connectivity measures or ecological networks to counter fragmentation. So you use the FragStat, that each one's area, each natural area, their areas, you sum up them and then you divide it by the total area and you get the hectare, and this is the second indicator, connectivity. You measure this connectivity and you also need to upload the map of it. For the second component, ecosystem services provided to the city, indicator number 11 talks about regulation of quantity of water. So that quantity of water has been estimated. So total permeable area, total area. So the ratio is becoming 47%. So you get the 2 points for this out of 4 for this permeability. There are ranges. Accordingly, you get the score. Indicator 12, climate regulation, carbon storage and cooling effect of vegetation. So you calculate the tree canopy covered and the total land, and this ratio gives you the carbon storage potential. So the city scored 1 out of 4. So likewise for this component 1, it has scored the maximum scoring potential, and how much it has scored, that has been tabulated here. And then the second component, ecosystem service, that has been tabulated here, the scores obtained out of the maximum mark. And the third one, the governance and management of biodiversity, which is having maximum number of indicators, that score is presented here. So after This has been done based on 23, not 28. So you can see the maximum scoring potential is 92, and for each part, how much the city has scored and what is the total score. So if it has been done for the first time, then this is going to be the baseline, and if it is for the second or third iteration, then you can check what improvement has happened or what change has happened in comparison to the baseline data. So today's summary will be the city biodiversity index. We discussed the theme, we discussed the definition, and we discussed the structure of it. We also talked about why we need to measure the urban biodiversity, historical background of CBI, that is how CBI evolved, that has been discussed. Components of CBI and index scoring, we have talked about number 23 indicators based as well as 28 indicators based scoring card. Challenges in adopting CBI globally, though the concept is robust, then also there are several challenges. Adoption of CBI in India, that we have discussed, and one particular case example, Pimpri Chinchwad, has been discussed in details. So these are the reference list. Thank you.